He's dying over here. We're positive he's negative. We hope he is.
Yeah.
So welcome to Carteret CONNECTS. I'm Mike McHugh. This guy over here, the not the hacker, and the hacker over here, hacker slacker.
Yeah.
Richard Clark,
Negative
Carteret
positive.
News, yeah, something like that. News director for the Carteret News-Times. Glad you're joining us today on this hot. It's going to be a very steamy day, leading into Labor Day weekend here in.
It should be fairly nice, right?
It's going to be nice, yeah. After this, there's a front moving through tonight, so we should get cooler air. You'll notice the wind direction shifting to the east northeast, or I'm sorry, the north.
How cool is it supposed to be tomorrow?
I think we're going to be in the high 80s, 86, and it's going to be down 85, 67, high and low for Sunday. I think you're going to like Sunday.
My parents live in Richmond. It's actually supposed to get to be 78 tomorrow.
Ooh, nice.
And
well,
sunny.
So you see what's happening.
Yeah.
That's that same front moving
Yeah.
down here, so we're going to get a little bit of
Man,
that.
she told me that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so ready.
But the weather is a concern of mine, but right now my immediate concern is this pack of ketchup I'm holding here that is very taunt, and puffy. I found it here at the
And
radio
he is
station.
going to explode it on me at some point.
It's like a zit. It's like ready to pop.
That's why you need to put it
But,
over there.
I would like to use this on my egg dish when I leave this the studio here, but I found this over in the corner in a pile of other similar condiments. I'm not certain how long it's been here, but I don't think it's naturally puffy. Ketchup packs.
It looks like a roll of the dice.
Something is doing something in there. I don't know. Anybody have any experience with ketchup packs?
Anyway.
That puff. You know, I remember one time I bought a pack of chicken at the grocery store, and it was puffy, and my wife threw it out because she thought it was doing something weird. You would have eaten it, I would have eaten it.
My girlfriend is horrible about, well, I actually should say the opposite. She's great at expiration dates.
Yeah.
And like if meat and stuff that's in the refrigerator even remotely changes a little bit, she's throwing it out.
Yeah.
Whereas, I live by myself. I'm a single guy for a long time.
Old mayonnaise.
Yeah, I tend to let stuff, that's just a little gray.
Do you have any food in your refrigerator that predates Hurricane Florence from 2018 September? Do you think? You lost power.
Yeah.
Really?
In the freezer.
Well, you lost power.
I know. But it refreezes. It's good.
Yeah, and you're still here.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not going to eat it.
No, but why are you keeping it? Just for ice blocks?
Well, yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
It's a longer story with
with
the trash out there where I was at.
Yeah, I got you.
Now the one where I'm at now with my girlfriend,
man,
there's nothing in there probably older than a week.
Yeah, well that's good. You cycle through quickly.
Yeah, she's much better at that stuff than I was.
Well, I know. I don't like to keep a lot in the freezer at this time of the year, especially because you never know. A storm comes and it's not that your home would get destroyed, but you might lose power for 24 hours. Right. And all that goes to waste. Yeah. So
apparently there, like we discussed before, my coffee maker in the bathroom was apparently like the worst thing ever. I didn't see anything wrong with it, but apparently it's horrifying to
Gwen.
Most females.
Imagine the first person to put a TV in the bathroom. Brilliant.
No, he's brilliant.
How about the garage? TV in the garage. Brilliant.
My dad has one. It has a TV, stereo, refrigerator, all that in the garage. Yeah, nice. And air conditioning.
Yeah, that's nice. We just got a fan in the garage.
Yeah, my dad's garage. I don't know why. Is like
I should probably read the tea leaves on that one because I've been spending a lot of time in the evening out in the garage on the tarmac, and that's where I read. I have this old batty aluminum chair, which I love. She bought a fan and put it in the garage. I wonder what her plan is. I think it's going to be me and the cat.
She shed?
Yeah, what's that? It's my man cave, I guess. I don't know.
She's going to make a she shed.
Yeah, well, it's our cat room too. Kelly likes to go out there. And
so you and the cat in case.
I might be like Dino and the Flintstones, sitting outside. So.
Yeah, I figure I'll be living in the storage unit before long. So.
I don't know. We had some sad news yesterday. If you've watched the news, you can see the story. It's up on Carolina Coast Online and the Carteret News-Times website. There was a tragic,
pretty bad accident.
It was bad. It took the life of a Huber man in Swansboro yesterday afternoon. Around 1:38, it occurred at the intersection of Main Street and 24. If any of you were driving on 24 yesterday, coming into Onslow County, or you were leaving Onslow,
about 3 o'clock.
From 1:38 up until about 3:30, the road was traffic was detoured through the historic area of Swansboro. Claimed the life of a 55-year-old Hubert man, and I went out there. It was around the corner from our chamber office, and watched the first responders try to save the life of the pickup truck driver while he was alive when they extricated him from his truck. No, last night. He was flown. They had a helicopter land on the highway. He was medevaced to Vida in Greenville. He later died from his injuries. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. His name was Luther Chuck Ruffner of Hubert. And it was interesting, Richard, out there. And I've been, my years with the newspaper and being on scenes such as that, and also just being around law enforcement for other reasons. We went out, a lot of people had assembled there because it was a major thoroughfare, and there were people, residents from Swansboro, watching the first responders at the scene from a vantage point at the First Citizens Bank, which is a parking lot elevated above the roadway. Mm-hmm. Many of you that drive through that area see that, well away from the activity that was below us. Actually, there was a 3-vehicle wreck. A box truck was involved, which was down Highway 24, closer to the ATM area of the bank on the highway itself. The vehicle stayed on the roadway, and then the pickup truck was near the intersection of Main and 24. So all the activity was a good 100 feet or so away, and many people, including myself, were observing from the parking lot, as I mentioned, over this brick wall, which is about 4 feet tall, looking down. And what surprised me was a Swansboro police officer came up, who had been previously down on the roadway, telling people to stand away from the wall and not observe what was happening, because they were about to remove the individual from the vehicle and get him ready for transport on a helicopter. And in addition to telling us that, giving us that order, again, we were on public property at the parking lot of the bank, away from the incident, said that we were not permitted to take any pictures or videos because his loved ones are there, and this is a very critical situation. Yeah. And there's possible, it's still under, in his words, still under investigation, and this could, taking pictures, harm the eventual investigation or litigation of it, insurance. All that's, where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, I mean,
I don't want to delve into that, but he's wrong.
He's wrong, and I say he's wrong. And I told his chief, Ken Jackson, and they had a talk with the officer. Long story short, it's not because, one, he moved us the way, denying us of seeing what was occurring down there, or that anybody had the thought of taking pictures. But I'm thinking ahead that in the climate we live in today, that police officers have a tough enough job being out on the street doing their job the correct way,
to be making up rules.
For some officer to make it even harder on those who are doing it right. To now, nobody was agitated. Nobody got in his face. They could have, in the sense of saying, we have every right to be standing here, sir. And secondly, we have every right to take pictures, because what is the state? What is what we live by, not only as citizens but as journalists when we're out in the field, is that we can take pictures while standing in a public space, because you forfeit your expectation of privacy when you're in a public space. Meaning that even as law enforcement officers doing their job down on the roadway, everybody along that wall could have been taking pictures. In my circumstance here, because I do string for the Tideland News and the Carteret News-Times, I would never have taken a picture of the scene with the individual still inside the vehicle, which is where he was when I approached the scene, with the first responders taking him out. It was only after he was extricated from the vehicle and they were cleaning up the wreck site that I took the picture that I took, that you can see online up there. I took a picture of the helicopter flying over. I could have taken a picture, and you know how this goes with editors. I can take a picture, and I have every right to do it, but I don't necessarily have to use it. And nobody, as a respected title such as the Tideland News or the Carteret News-Times, would ever print a picture taken by one of their employees or submitted by someone in the community of a picture that would have seen Mr. Ruffner still involved in the vehicle. Afterwards, yes, to put in context for the reader of the story, to see exactly what was the circumstance of the wreck as far as graphic in the picture there. That's all legitimate, and that's accepted.
Well, that's also, that you're also talking about two different things. One, the opinion or judgment of the journalist or newsroom on what is and isn't acceptable. live footage of the guy in the car is over the line for you and probably most of us.
Yeah.
But is it? That's not an illegal thing.
It's not.
It's just a judgment call.
It's a judgment. Yeah, and it's just,
the fact that you can take pictures, whether or not you're allowed to take pictures or video, is a law thing. That's not a judgment.
No, it's not a judgment. And
so,
somebody out there who isn't affiliated with any news organization or media group and has their own social media platform, guess what? They could put it up there if they choose to.
At the end of the day, we can pretend that stuff is, pick a word, bad for society, whatever. But if somebody looks at it, and I'm not saying I want to do it because I don't, but the pictures for Princess Diana sold for a ton. So somebody's looking at it, or it wouldn't have sold for a ton. Yeah. That's just the way it works. Yeah. If this guy was somebody famous and you had the pictures of him bleeding in the truck, somebody would have bought those. Simple as that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the world we live in.
Yeah. And you talk about like paparazzi.
Right.
Out there, they're shooting, and I'll never forget a time when I was in New York City, and there was a young person standing on the corner of 8th Avenue and 34th Street, and as each taxi cab came by to the stoplight, he just put his camera right in the window, click, 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 and looked at the viewfinder to see what he had. Nothing. Delete. Because what he's looking for is Robert De Niro going to lunch or something.
Well, here's one for you.
This is
just like everybody, most people listening probably would be appalled if it was their family because it's closer to home for them here in Swansboro. If it was their family member in the truck, we're all like, oh, that's horrible. But you have no problem looking at that celebrity stumbling out of a bar, which is essentially the same thing. He's in public.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand that. And there's another misconception, too, when you take pictures. Again, you're in a public setting taking pictures of individuals who, because they are in public, have forfeited any expectation of privacy. People would say, you can't take a picture, and this is people would talk about this when we were at the newspaper. I take a picture of a child. You can't publish that without the parent's permission.
We absolutely can.
Not true.
Yeah.
The question is, again, I have every right to take a picture. Do you want to die on that hill and take out that?
Right.
You don't need to. Listen, we do on January 1st as newspaper people. What did we always do? The first child born at Naval, the first child born at Onslow. Picture of mom, dad, and there they are. That kid's 1 day old, and that person's picture is being published.
We used to get the same thing with shots of kids that were 17 and got in trouble. Yeah. Once they said they were going to charge them as an adult.
But even so, we had a picture. We had an incident of a shooting in on Belgrade Swansboro Road. It was an individual misfired the gun and shot themselves in the hand. They were 15 years old. We ran that story at the Daily News with the kids' name. I forget what the child's name.
I remember that.
And the parents called, you can't do that. And Cindy Brown, our editor at the time, said, I can run anybody's name. We run honor roll students.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're going to run pictures,
you can't have the good without the bad.
If you're going to run the principals list of 8th graders,
if you're going to have the good, you got to have the bad.
It's named in the paper. So misconception there. And another misconception too is this falls way into the creek, but you can go out to, for instance, Emerald Isle Beach, stand on the Bogue Inlet Pier, and start taking pictures of people on the beach. You can do it.
Yeah,
it's
legal.
That you're in a public space. I mean, maybe stand on the municipal property, not so much.
Well, but you're exactly right, and this is why when celebrities start griping about paparazzi, we look at it like, oh, whatever, they're celebrities. But they're standing on public property in the road, shooting with a telephoto lens. So technically, they're illegal, and this is what it always comes back to.
They're legal.
Yeah, the paparazzi's legal. And to be clear on this, let me back up a little bit. If I was a celebrity, I would have been the one that punched the paparazzi guy. Let's be, because I don't like.
I mean, listen, you don't get up and right into someone's grill, right into someone's face. I mean, that's just you're just being rude. But, you can stand. I mean, if we left this studio right now and it gets a little gray because, okay, we're in this building owned by somebody else. I'm talking about if you're standing on the steps of City Hall, you can't get more municipal than that. And you're coming out of the courthouse. You can't get more public than that. The public steps. Click, click, click. I can take your picture.
Here's one for you.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah. Here's one for you. There's video, and again, I'm not advocating the guy's video because clearly he's looking to make a scene, okay? But there's lots of videos of people filming police departments from the back of the building, but on the road. And every single time, the police will come out there and want to know why and ask questions and all this, and they go through the song and dance, but they're wrong. They're simply wrong. And eventually, somebody high enough will come out there and make his officers back off.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
They don't understand.
They just don't get the law, I guess.
No, we had there was a group that went around Eastern North Carolina, and they went into municipal buildings just like that. They'd walk in, and again, it's the creep factor. However,
I'm not saying
they constitutionally they
have the right
to do
yes.
it. So now you can say, well, they're threatening this or that.
No,
they're taking big. I don't like it, but they're allowed to do it. Yeah. I thought the best thing about they came to actually this group came to Swansboro. They came into town hall and they were going.
Yes, I remember that.
I think they may have kind of gone to PD, but they had gone to Jacksonville. This is funny. They went to the Justice Center, and that's where the sheriff is housed. And they had a little encounter with Hans Miller down there, and that's what they want. They want engagement.
That's right.
Engagement, right? Their next stop was the Jacksonville Post Office on New Bridge Street.
Nobody there.
You can be the best customer in the world at Jacksonville Post Office, and they won't look at you.
Right.
We used to go in there with Don all the time, dropping our books off there for mail, dropping maybe $7,000 for a mailing. They never look at you twice.
Right.
So this guy walks into the Jacksonville Post Office, and there's the three guys on the front line there, and he's trying to get a rise out of either one of them, and all of them have see next teller, see next teller, see next teller, and he's just like, well, I guess they understand how it's played here, and he moved on because they were just like, hey, you can stay here all you want.
And again, those people are looking for a fight.
They're looking
so
for a fight.
I'm not advocating that or saying that's the right thing.
Is,
they're not wrong.
But they need the police officers, and we've had this discussion. We agree in some parts, we disagree on others. They go through basic law enforcement training, and it's 660 some hours of classroom. And this was a comment given to me yesterday by the chief of police in Swansboro. They need to add and it wouldn't take but a sentence or two to talk about what we're just talking here, because oftentimes you run into a situation, and probably people you have done this, so long as you're respectful and you understand your rights, not your rights in a snarky way. Hey, do you know I have a right? But for instance, this is the classic example. It happened in a city street in Jacksonville, in a neighborhood, Bryn Mawr, where a colleague of ours, Lindell K., lived. He was off duty at the time as a newspaper boy. He had done his work, and then he's home with his family. He heard an incident or he heard police activity down the street. They had it taped off with the yellow crime scene tape, which we've all seen. Lindell came down the street, well away from the scene and well behind the crime scene tape, with a camera. The police officer approached him and said, "What are you taking pictures of?"
That's right.
First of all, police officers doesn't need to know why he's taking that picture.
That's right.
He wasn't in a threatening manner. Lindell can take pictures. He could have been taking pictures of squirrels and birds for all he was. No. But so long as he was on that public street, he could take pictures of anything he wanted. But they made a big deal about it. Lindell told him basically, what he can and can't do. Fortunately, they agreed in that situation. We were on a crime scene together out in Maysville, Lindell and I, where a shooting had occurred. It was a homicide. A gentleman by the name of Luther Canning was shot on his tractor as he was grading Gibson Branch Road, and they set up a perimeter, which is their right to do. They're protecting the crime scene, and it was well away from where the tractor came to rest and where the body was hanging off the tractor. We walked up to the line, and we were taking a picture. We didn't realize that the body was still on the tractor. And with the camera, and the deputy came out the Onslow County deputy came out to the line and said, "You can't take pictures. It's a crime scene." And Lindell politely said, "I beg to differ with you," and started clicking away. And he said, "Take the camera down. You can't take pictures." So Lindell pulled his phone out and dialed a number and said to the deputy, "Here, I want you to speak to this individual," who at the time was the sheriff of Onslow County, Ed Brown. And he said, "Tell this gentleman what you just told me." A conversation lasted about 20 seconds. The deputy walked away and said, "Take all the pictures you want. Just stay behind the crime scene."
Here's the problem. All right, let's back up.
Why did they have to get educated on that, though, Richard?
Right.
That's the point.
That's the point, is that they should have learned this before they got out of the academy. Secondly, let's back up. When you were talking about you're originally telling you to move or whatever, and you said respectfully, whatever. Why does it have to be respectfully? See, we too far often now have gotten to where if you feel offended, then somehow that's the law. Those are two different things. The law and your ego being offended are two different things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
And I understand you should be respectful in many ways. I'm not getting into that argument. That's a whole something else.
Right.
But because I'm not respectful to you is not a reason to address somebody or any of that kind of stuff. The law is the law is the law. And if you're going to say that, then it has to be like that. It can't be, okay, well, this guy said, okay, I'll move politely. And this guy said, to hell with you, I'm not moving. So I arrested this guy.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
I agree, but I just how I'm wired.
We're on opposite ends of this for the most part.
But you're right. The law is the law. I mean, if it says you have to say whatever it is.
Yes.
If it costs 50 cents to ride this ride at the park,
it's 50 cents.
It's 50 cents.
That's right. That's right.
Whether or not
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
whether or not you're polite to the ticket man or you're snarky and you're obnoxious. It's 50 cents.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I think we've gotten too far away from if you're offended.
But here's my point.
That goes to police and everybody.
Here's the whole point with the situation in Swansea. It's tragic. It's tragic that a gentleman died. Okay, and there's people out there. A lot of people out that were there witnessing it were actual witnesses. They were drivers that saw it. So they're hanging out. So they're sitting there, and then there were
because they might be interviewed.
Right. There's neighbors that it was right in front of their house more or less. So they came out and saw it. I came around the corner and we were watching it. My concern is, and this is what I was trying to impart to the chief, and I think he agreed and he understood, is look, what's happening in America today with civil unrest. It's not isolated to major metropolitan cities. It can happen anywhere. It can happen this afternoon in Morehead City, Beaufort, Jacksonville, Swansboro, Craven County, New Bern, you name it, Jones County, and Trenton. It can happen anywhere, and police don't need to amp it up any more than it is. They have a job. They have training. And that's what I was trying to say. Because if say this happens now, it's just hypothetically, something were to happen that we've seen in Kenosha happen in Swansboro. I hope it never does. But you have people coming out there. Are these same officers going to tell them you can't film this and that? Like, I hope they learned their lesson now.
And that's my point. Yeah. And you take everything that happened up to that point. It could be the same exact story, and change it to a more tense situation, let's say, where the person's not as nice as you were.
Yeah.
Where does that go from
what
there?
do they do? I mean, if all say there were 12 or 20 people by the bus.
Right. What if that group was already there?
They all in mass say, you know what, officer, you're wrong, and they start. What's he doing now? Is he going to retreat? Is he going to say you're right? Is he going to see the wrong in his way, or is it going to escalate?
No,
to that?
I can guarantee you that he's not going to let it go, because that's what I meant by ego. Ego gets involved in it on both sides. I'm not trying to put one on the other, but particularly when guys are involved, it takes a bigger person to be able to speak. You can do it. We've talked about this before. When you don't agree with somebody or even like somebody, and you're still able to talk to them in a very positive manner. I don't necessarily have that trait, but you do. My girlfriend does.
I see it.
I think 99% of the people we're talking about on both sides of this issue don't have that trait.
I see that trait, and that's probably why they elevate to the level of chief or an elected official such as Asa Buck here in Carteret County or Hans Miller. They have that ability, and Mike McHugh in Jacksonville. They have that ability to
defuse a situation.
Defuse a situation. Yeah. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's what, And
I think that is something we need more of in this time, because there's too many. Let's call them fire breathers.
Well, back in the day, you say, well, he's a real cowboy. But, we
don't need that.
Talking with Swansboro's chief, Ken Jackson, he's very calm.
Yes.
He's very, I'm not saying laid back.
Hans is kind of the same way.
And Hans, yeah, he is. And
I really don't have a lot of experience dealing with Ace, Mr. Buck, Sheriff Buck, but I have interviewed him 3 times, I think, and I don't get I'm going to bang your head in vibe, put it that way. No. You know what I mean? He seems very measured, I guess is the word.
Yeah, I recall. I mean, I've been with Chief Jackson for many occasions, and he's very soft spoken. He's a lawman. And he has experience, and he's got a lot of experience from cases in and around Swansboro and Jacksonville. But Mike Chief Yanero in Jacksonville, they run the crisis intervention training, and again he said he's right. He says we roll up to a scene and 50% of the time or thereabouts, we're dealing with somebody with mental issues. These are the one thing we can always bank on when an officer is rolling up to a scene is that at least one person's going to be armed, and that's the cop. He's there, so we have to go in there. We train our officers as they're driving to the scene, they rolling up, that they're thinking ahead of time how they're going to, what you just said, diffuse the situation, not come out like an invading army, because all that's already a tense situation. They don't need to make it any tenser. They need to talk the situation down, because they're dealing with some people that may be not totally stable. But
well, let me say this.
I
agree with that 100%, and I think therein lies our bigger. And I guess we don't want to delve into this too much because this is crazy. But you and I both grew up in more urban areas, and I can say with 100% certainty that the getting out and thinking ahead and how to diffuse it is not how they jump out where I'm from.
Well, where you're from when you were growing up.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's where I heard the term cowboys. I mean, there were, well, I'm not going to say.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that too much. Then they're going to look at us like
it's changed, and that's why they have these crisis interventions.
And I would not want to have to deal with some of the stuff they have to deal with. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
They really deal with some very difficult situations.
Every day.
The police.
Every day they see it.
Yes.
Every day. So anyway, I wanted to bring that out there and just have that conversation, have that discussion. I hope we never have to have that discussion again anywhere in Eastern North Carolina. I think.
I just hope that doesn't. I'm just glad it happened when it happened, and it was like I said. I don't think that everybody likes to say just widely that society's worse now, blah blah blah, than it was. I don't necessarily believe that. I think for the most part, the same amount of people that were nice 30 years ago are nice now. I just think the ones that aren't nice are way worse. You see what I'm saying?
I think too, as we get older, and I saw this when I was a kid.
Yeah, we
the
get
older
more
generation.
privileged.
My grandmother said that. This is 1960, 1960s, 1970s. Mikey, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and it was early 1970s.
Yeah.
And I hear myself thinking that sometimes
absolutely.
when I thought, oh, you watch TV and the world's going to hell in a handbasket. But we beat this horse a little bit today.
Yeah, we'll get through all this as a country, and in one way or the other, and we've been through worse, really.
World wars.
Yeah, world wars.
World pandemic.
The late '60s with a lot of the civil unrest.
Yeah.
It frankly didn't. It's worse. It was worse then than this we're dealing with right now. I just think the media coverage is different. And actually, I take that back. It's not the media coverage. It's the
citizen journalists.
Yes,
Everybody's out there recording everything.
Right.
Like I was doing yesterday.
Absolutely. Like we were talking about with the guy that's behind the police station.
Yeah. Whoops.
Anyway,
that was almost.
I hope we didn't lose everybody. That was kind of convoluted. And,
deep.
Yeah.
Thanks for
got
joining
it
us.
deep. Thank you.
Have a
good weekend.
Labor Day.
Yes. Oh, Labor Day.
Yeah,
Have a good Labor Day weekend.